John Harbaugh is not playing around. He just made another major change with the New York Giants. We'll talk about it on today's show, but I want to let you know here at Giants Now, we are now selling hoodies. John Harbaugh, Giants Now hoodies. You can get yours for $44.99 at chatsports.com/NYG hire. We have that same exact design in t-shirt form as well for $29.99 at the same link, chatsports.com/NYG hire. And if you're like me and you're like, yo, Marsh, I want a hoodie and I want a t-shirt, you can get it and you will save $10, only $64.99 for both. You can get a white hoodie and a blue shirt or a blue hoodie and a white shirt. It's chatsports.com/NYG hire, and the $10 promo code will automatically be applied. This is New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green, and we've got some breaking news. John Harbaugh, as it is now, the John Harbaugh operation has made another change. Diana Rossini saying the New York Giants head athletic trainer Ronnie Barnes' role is being shifted within the organization. Barnes has been with the franchise since 1976 and served as the team's head athletic trainer for the last 45 seasons. Ian Rappaport adding, there will be more of this for the Giants. Case in point, while longtime head athletic trainer Ronnie Barnes will still oversee the department, expect a new head athletic trainer, almost certainly with Baltimore Ravens ties and a restructured staff. I think yesterday we did a good job of stressing how important it was that the New York Giants made the changes that they did and they fired Kevin Abrams. This is an even bigger change. Ronnie Barnes started with the New York Giants in 1976 as an intern. Then he became the full-time athletic trainer in 1980. Then he was named the head of athletic training in 1981. Then in 2009, he was named the Senior Vice President of Medical Services and Head Athletic Trainer, and he was inducted while still working with the team to the New York Giants Ring of Honor in 2022. Ian O'Connor writing, Ronnie Barnes was with the Giants before Phil Simms and before Lawrence Taylor. Half a century of distinguished work. Stayed at Wellington Mara's bedside day after day at the end of Wellington's life. He is the 12th Mara child. Celebrate Ronnie today as he moves into a new role. He is a true franchise treasure. And Mike Garafolo saying this and attaching some very powerful words from John Mara's eulogy at Wellington's funeral on Ronnie Barnes. This will be met with replies of, quote, no lifetime appointments. That's fine, not arguing. But if your blood runs Big Blue, understand what Ronnie Barnes has meant to the trophy case and the building that houses it. John Mara wrote, there is one person who deserves special thanks, Ronnie Barnes, whom my mother refers to as her 12th child, spent night after night and many days in my father's hospital room taking care of him, talking about his dad, night after night. He would quote his dad and say, is Ronnie coming tonight? My father would ask. Of course. The answer was always yes. And my father's face would light up when Ronnie's face walked into the room. We joked with Ronnie that one of the reasons he did this was because so many of the nurses kept trying to slip him their phone numbers at the hospital. But that really wasn't the reason. My father asked him one night, Ronnie, why are you so good to me? Barnes replied, because Mr. Mara, you've been so good to me. Nobody took better care of him. And there was no one that he trusted more. Ronnie, my family, can't thank you enough. This tweet coming from Big Blue VCR. Go give them a follow on Twitter. They're an awesome account. So let's be very clear on who Ronnie Barnes is. John Mara called him, quote, the most important guy in the building and untouchable. He was a trailblazer as an NFL trainer and beloved by generations of players. The fact that Harbaugh is able to make these changes shows ownership is serious. And the Giants know that things need to change. And they are. Remember when Pat Leonard said this? back in September, Brian Dable just touched the third rail and made air quotes to reference the Giants' medical people. That's what it was when you talked about the medical staff or you talked about Ronnie Barnes. It was something that you just did not do. But the facts are the facts. The Giants have been one of the most injury-riddled teams for the last 15 years plus. From 2009 to 2021, the New York Giants led the NFL in man games lost to injury. No team dealt with players that missed more games than the New York Giants. And they've been pretty injury-riddled as well. Did a video back in the fall. Why do offensive young superstars always get hurt for the Giants? And I'm not putting this on Ronnie Barnes. That's not how this works. But something needed to change. Jordan on saying Ronnie Barnes' title won't actually change. He's still Senior Vice President of Medical Services and oversees that department. But there will be a new head athletic trainer. And it sounds like that is going to be someone from the Baltimore Ravens. And Ravens medical people are going to be coming in bunches. Connor Hughes saying, from my understanding, John Harbaugh plans on bringing a ton of his medical staff from Baltimore with him to New York. It's a couple things I don't ever mind investing in. The offensive line, the defensive line, analytics, and the medical team. If you're not healthy, you're not going to win games. And hopefully the New York Giants can get healthy. And look, I want to thank Ronnie Barnes for everything he's done. He is a Giant legend. He is the New York Football Giants. He's a part of that Ring of Honor. But change needed to happen. And change is happening. The Giants' way is now conforming to the John Harbaugh way. And the John Harbaugh way is now the New York Giants way. He's walking in there Ari Gold style. Kevin Abrams, Ronnie Barnes, you're done. He's firing a lot of people. He's making changes that needed to happen. And I can't believe it. The New York Giants are actually letting John Harbaugh cook. They are letting him do what he thinks is best for this organization. Because what they have thought is best has not worked. They have the second least amount of wins since 2017. Change is needed for the New York Giants. And more change is coming. And hopefully the change comes in the amount of wins that they can rack up every single year. It is a new day for Giants fans. And I could not be more fired up. Make sure you are subscribed to this channel because it doesn't matter where we are or what we're doing. When the Giants make a move, we make a video. We put out a video last night close to midnight, and we're on this one early in the morning. Hit that big red sub button, and let's go. Coming up next, the New York Giants are holding an interview today with the defensive coordinator. They have requested an interview for an offensive coordinator, and we've got the latest on that search. We'll talk about that momentarily. First, though, I got to give a huge shout-out to today's sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. Get hooked up with Prize Picks as the big game is right around the corner. The time to play Prize Picks is now. It's the #1 daily fantasy sports app in the game, and they've got an awesome deal going. When you play your first $5 lineup, you're going to get $50 in lineups, and you don't even have to win that $5 lineup. The big game is almost here, and there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And since the big game is right around the corner, that also means it's your last chance to get into the football action before next season. So close the season out right with Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. I've got my lineups ready to go for the games this weekend. I'm taking the more on passing yards for Drake May, less on passing yards for Jarrett Stidham, and I'm taking the more on passing yards for Stafford and Darnold. You can roll with my picks or fade my picks. Just do it over at Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. It's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Jeremy Fowler reporting the Giants have requested to interview Ravens assistant head coach and running back coach Willie Taggart for their offensive coordinator position. The former Florida State and Oregon head football coach was a member of John Harbaugh's Baltimore staff for 3 seasons. Ian O'Connor saying nobody knows the John Harbaugh way better than Willie Taggart. John and Jim recruited for Jack at Western Kentucky as a quarterback. Taggart then coached under Jack at Western Kentucky, Jim at Stanford, and John at Baltimore. Any Giants employee trying to figure out John early should talk to Mr. Taggart. And Willie, he has a long coaching career. He's been around the block a couple of times. Didn't go all that well at a couple of different spots in college, but he's been with the Ravens since 2013. Did 2 seasons at Florida Atlantic as the head coach, 2 years at Florida State as the head coach, was the Oregon head coach for 1 year. He was at South Florida as the head coach for a couple of years, head coach at Western Kentucky for a couple of years. Then he bounced around before that, Stanford, Western Kentucky as well. So he definitely has a long resume, and this is someone that I think is deserving of an interview. But I'm just going to be honest with you. I think this is a Rooney Rule interview for the New York Giants. You have to interview 2 minority candidates that are outside the organization. And Willie Taggart is a good coach. I just don't think he's going to get this job unless Todd Monken takes the Cleveland Browns job. Dan Duggan saying this: all signs continue to point to offensive coordinator Todd Monken joining Harbaugh in New York, as long as Monken doesn't get the Browns head coaching job. Look, I would be shocked if the Giants end up with an offensive coordinator not named Todd Monken. I'd also be shocked if he was named the Cleveland Browns head coach. I think he's going to be this team's offensive coordinator. It sounded like that was going to be the way things played out since, 12 hours after Harbaugh had a handshake agreement on last Wednesday night, to become the next Giants head coach. Dan Graziano of ESPN says, source, Vikings defensive pass game coordinator Durante Jones is scheduled to interview today with both the Packers and the Giants for their open DC jobs. Jones remains as a DC candidate with the Cowboys and Jets as well. This was reported a couple of days ago. We'll see where this falls. There's been a lot of talk about maybe Anthony Weaver being the next defensive coordinator, but Jones is somebody that has a lot of respect in this league. I talked to my guy Patrick Seatman, who covers the Minnesota Vikings for us here at Chat Sports, and he said Jones was most likely going to be the DC for the Vikings if they weren't able to bring back Brian Flores. He's been with Minnesota since 2022. He was the LSU defensive coordinator in 2021, and he was even with the Vikings before that. So he has NFL experience. He's been a DC in the SEC, and there's a lot of people that like the work that he's done. The names that we are hearing the most attached to the defensive coordinator job: Anthony Weaver, the defensive coordinator for the Dolphins this past year; Jim Leonard, the DB coach and assistant head coach for the Denver Broncos. If they lose in the AFC Championship game this Sunday, you could start to see the wheels turn on his name being a part of the interview process, and Durante Jones. Those are the only 3 names we've heard, but if we hear any more, we'll get you a video ASAP. If you haven't got your Giants Harbaugh gear, get it today. Chatsports.com/NYG Hire. We also have a John Harbaugh Ball Giant shirt. We've got our 100,000 subscriber Real One t-shirts. If you're a real one, get some merch.